Hello everybody, this is Mark with Pelican Wooden Things. Today we're going to be making us a cute little bowl with flowers in it. The leftover flowers from the other project I did about a month ago. Now I'm going to make a bowl. Put just a smidge of gold resin in, gold mica powder in the resin, and then mix in the flowers. Try to get the bubbles out as much as possible. Spray a little mold release. Pour it in. Alright, so put it in the pressure pot and leave it for, I think it took about 4 days to make me confident that it was about hard enough to work. Pump it up to about 50 psi. 4 days later, let the air out. Here's a nice trick for you. Use a little compressed air to help bring your molds out of their containers. I admit I was hoping for a little bit more gold. I didn't want much, just a touch, but I could have used a bit more. Apparently I didn't set it in the pressure pot completely level, so we're going to have to cut the top off just a little bit to level it out, make it easier to work on the lathe. Mark out the center and drill a little bit of a hole so the live center and the center of the steb steb drive, thank you. The steb drive will center the bowl nicely on the lathe. There's my steb drive. That tip in the hole and bring up the live center and put that tip in the other hole. And now complete the process of flattening out the surface as much as we can. After I get it flat, I will mark out for a tenon and go ahead and make that tenon. The step drive is okay, but the friction part of it looks like a little saw blade, basically, and it acts like a little saw blade, especially in the resin. So as I'm turning it, it's having pressure back against that saw blade shape and actually cutting a small hole. As you can see, from time to time, the piece will stop. I am not stopping the motor, it's just losing pressure against those saw teeth, or the saw teeth also fill up, and the piece will stop. So be gentle, keep tightening it up, and when I flip it around, you will see that there is a little bit of a hole right where the step drive was sitting. Now every time you use a step drive, it's a good idea to clean it out from the debris from the previous application. Or if you're more responsible than me, you can clean it out as you take it off. I never do that. I always have to wait till the next time. Here I look like I'm from a horror film. Instead of the creature from the Black Lagoon, I've got white stuff all over me. I like how resin projects come out, but this stuff is annoying. Alrighty, like all projects, there's a fair amount of sanding. Resin projects even more so. So I sanded it up to about 220, and then I switch over to the abrasive paste. Hopefully that will get all the big scratches out of it. Not too bad. Okay, out with the step drive and with the chuck. Here you can see the center of the piece where the step drive was digging into it. That is why it was stopping all the time. I'm going to make sure this is all flat, especially on the rim. I'm going to take all the inside out so it doesn't matter if that's flat so much. Just hog out all this stuff in the center. Tools you see with the black handle, those are basically a beginner set from Rockler, a beginner carbide set. Basically the first turning tool I purchased, and for small projects like this I still like them pretty well. The carbide works great. And more snow. Okay, back to sanding. Won't make you sit through all of it. Now I'm going to switch over to the micro mesh pads. It's also a kind of sandpaper, but they start at, I think, probably around 600 and work their way up to 12,000 grit, something like that. And you do it wet, so they last a good long time. It's a worthwhile investment. Keeps the water keeps from clogging up the grains in the sandpaper, the sanding surface. Not paper exactly, it's a pad. The first one takes the longest. You've got to make sure you get all the scratches out from previous sanding operations. After that, it's a lot quicker. You just kind of work your way through it. Again, I'm not going to make you sit through the whole thing, or I will actually, but I'm going to speed it up greatly. Is just a little taste of how it goes in real time, and then I'll speed it up to have a little mercy on you. working my way through the stack. Now I'm going to switch over to polishing compounds. As I mentioned in other videos, this is a Chemical Guys product intended for car paint, but it polishes quite nicely. Even put a little car wax on there. And it looks good. Very shiny. Okay, I'm going to switch out the chuck for the coal jaws and flip this thing around so we can get rid of the tenon. Just work it down to a little nub, making sure you leave the bottom of the bowl convex so just the ring on the outside sits on the table when it's done. And when you get it down to a little nub, you just, I'm using a pointed carbide tool here. When the nub stops turning, it's done. Clean up the bottom there, sand it up a little bit, and that'll be it for the bowl. Work my way back through the micro mesh pads, and there you go. Shiny, shiny. And of course, the ever-present shop cleanup. I hope you enjoyed that. Lovely.